Welcome to my Cuban moist forest terrarium. This tropical ecoregion is a uniquely biodiverse corner of our planet. Its flora and fauna have been something I've wanted to study and encapsulate for a considerable length of time. Hi, this is Minia Nature. I like plants, rocks, water, and all creatures in between. This glass vase will capture a small slice of this unique biotope perfectly. Being nearly fully enclosed helps replicate the high humidity found in these forests. To begin the terrarium's hardscape, I'm using black lava rock. Originally, I had found industrial slag on some railroad tracks and thought it could be basalt. Basalt being the igneous volcanic rock that makes up parts of Cuba. Another common rock type found in this part of the world is limestone. However, this piece is a bit big for the small space that I have. The lava rock I'm using differs in texture to the Cuban basalt. However, this was all I could source locally. I start by building up a crushed lava rock drainage layer, a vital component of any terrarium build. It stores excess water and helps with maintaining high humidity levels. Adding some larger rocks here helps me build a stable base to later add some height to the hardscape. I'm using Tissot jungle base to fill in the gaps between the rocks, a porous, non-compacting substrate which helps with air circulation and preventing root rot. After, I top it all off with Tissot jungle soil, a compressed black soil stuffed with beneficial nutrients for root growth. Like the drainage layer, it also retains moisture to ensure a stable, humid environment. Periodically misting the soil helps later on when planting. In my eyes, the hardscape is the most important part when creating any imitation of nature. It's inorganic and stagnant, so I spend the most time on it to make sure it's perfect. Flora and fauna grow and change, but rocks stay forever, until inevitably knocking the terrarium off my shelf creates a landslide. Just in case, adding small pieces of cotton combined with superglue does help lock everything firmly into place. Trial and error is sometimes the only option when creating a natural-looking hardscape. Taking some extra time here, placing and replacing rocks, can be really rewarding later on when the final look is complete. While I finish with the hardscape, perhaps it's a good time to quickly explain what the Cuban moist forests are. Now, I'm by no means an expert, but from what I understand, these ecoregions are defined by their significant amount of rainfall, above 2,000 millimeters annually, and their warm temperatures, between 24 and 27 degrees Celsius. Combining this with rugged mountainous terrain that can limit agricultural-driven deforestation ensures the ideal environment for thriving biodiversity. The island of Cuba has several of these moist forests, notably the Sierra Maestra in the east and the Sierra del Escambre in the center. Although I can't make my biotope too regionally specific, I tried my best sticking to these two. Once I've completed the hardscape, I can move on to my favorite part, the planting. This is Pilea glauca aquamarine, a native ground cover plant found in the Cuban moist forests. Although Pilea spreads quickly, I'm hoping to keep it small and compact by regularly trimming it. I'm also planting it in the background to keep it from obstructing views. Macranthemum callitrichoides cuba is a semi-aquatic plant found west of Havana. Its tiny leaves lend well to small terrariums like this one, where space and scale play a big role. I'm not sure how it will do fully immersed, but with enough humidity and light, I think it should be okay. No small terrarium build is complete without micro-orchids. This Speclinia picta thrives in humid terrariums. Additionally, I bought a similar Speclinia grobii because I wasn't sure which would look better. All roughly 100 Speclinia species are found in Central America and the Caribbean. After some research, I found that specimens of Speclinia grobii had been collected from Cuba specifically. Removing the orchids from the cork bark they come with can be delicate work. Being epiphytes, their roots are designed to cling to rough bark, tree branches, or even rocks. Adding some sphagnum moss before placing the orchid will help retain moisture around its roots. While this moss is technically from New Zealand, here I prioritize the health of the orchid over the dedication to the biotope. Securing the orchid with an aluminum wire will keep it in place while it establishes roots. In the end, I decided to include both Speclinias because no moist forest is complete without having as many orchids packed into it as possible. Lastly, I'll add the semi-epiphytic plant named Margravia. I purchased this one unlabeled, so the species is unknown to me. However, Margravia's distribution ranges across the Caribbean, so it's likely to be found in Cuba. I'm placing it at the bottom of the rock, because being a terrestrial vine, it needs a structure to grow on. If you know what Margravia this could be, please let me know in the comments. Three weeks after finishing with the planting, I wanted to improve the terrarium's lighting. While sitting on an indirectly lit shelf seems to offer the plants adequate lighting, I want to create a more integrated LED grow light so the plants can really thrive. Removing this bead of silicone will give me access to the retaining clips underneath, making it possible to pry the LED module out, hopefully without damaging any of the delicate wires. Now that I have access to the LED circuit board, I can remove the solder beads and disconnect the wires, making sure to check along the way if everything is still working. Time to 3D print some new light fixture parts. When 3D printing, I always try to reduce waste by limiting prototypes and collecting all scraps to bring to a local filament recycling plant. Adding more plastic waste to the nature I'm trying to recreate just doesn't sit right with me. These 4 pieces will make up the new light fixture. Designing these with Tinkercad and using some of their stock designs like this ball and socket joint made being new to 3D modeling a lot easier. I'm attaching all the pieces to each other with a gel superglue. The glass dome lid has a hole where I'll be able to attach the removable ball joint and socket piece, enabling me to adjust its rotational position if needed. Wiring everything back together is fairly straightforward. In the 3D model, I had included some holes to run the wires through. Here, I'm adding some black heat shrink over the white wire to make it less of an eyesore. The black wire I had ordered didn't show up in time, so this is the best I can do for now. Now, it's finally time to reconnect the wires to the LED module and solder everything back together. After a little more superglue here and there, I can tightly secure the LED module and its cover into the newly made light fixture. The ball joint and socket click into place at the top of the glass dome lid. After checking if I've wired everything correctly, I can now see if the additional light helps the plants thrive under more optimal growing conditions. Time to add a few final pieces to this Cuban moist forest. Sanella curviceta is a species of springtail, an important detritivore vital to the bioactivity in terrariums. Finally, I'll add some isopods. While originally hoping to find or afford Cuban spikies, I'm ultimately happy to have Cubaris marina, the little sea isopod, a species found all over the Caribbean, including Cuba. This completes our little Cuban moist forest terrarium. The Cuban moist forests are a beautiful and unique place in our world. If you enjoyed learning about a small part of the diverse flora and fauna found there, please consider liking the video and subscribing to Minianature. Thank you today for so much watching.